Okay, welcome back for the second part of One Man's Faith. We're looking at Numbers today. We're going to survey through a little bit of it. And I said just for the break, we get the title Numbers from the fact that God said number the people. The Hebrew title is Bamidbar, which means in the wilderness. So, and Jesus is shown as the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. Okay, a little bit further in Numbers chapter 1, it says that Moses and Aaron took the men who had been designated, and they assembled all the congregation together in the first of the second month. Now, it says the first of the second month in the second year. So they've now been parked at Mount Sinai for almost 2 years. Matter of fact, I think it's a month short. It took about 3 months to get to Mount Sinai, and then they were parked there. They had things they had to do. They had to build all the parts for the tabernacle, and Moses took, 80 days to get the 10 Commandments written on stone. Now you say, Neal, you're wrong. It took 40. No, it took 80 because he went up twice because he broke them the first time. Okay, remember that? So God had to write on them a second time. And so they stayed there. They built. They got most of the Leviticus teachings down, and they're still there. And God says, I want you to number the people. And so they started counting the people, at least the men, 20 years older and older. Okay? Reuben had 46,000, Simeon 59,000, Gad 45,000, Judah 74,000. What happened to my page here? Issachar 54,000, Zebulun 57, and it ended up being a total of 603,550 men 20 years and older. All right? So you've got now men from 0 to 20 that aren't counted, and those above, I think the figure was 50 and older. And that's just the men. So that's where I had gotten the figure before of there being 600,000 men, because it mentions that also in Exodus there were 600 men, fighting men, and if you consider each one of those that were of age, which would have been those 600, because we've kind of seen now that number has increased to 603,550. If each was married, and they probably were, then that adds a wife, which doubles the figure to 1,200. And since God had said, be fruitful and multiply, then the Israelites, would have done and been doing all they could to have children. Children, it is shown in other places, are not a benefit, but an honor to have. And so if they had two, at least a minimum of two, that would be another 1.2, another 1.2 million, which takes the total to almost 3 million. So the book of Numbers was started by the fact that God said, I want you to number the people. Now, if you look at the names, let me just give it to you again. Reuben, Simeon, Gad, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, Dan, Asher, Naphtali. Okay, we have 12 names, 12 tribes, but there's one missing. And that is the tribe of Levi, which was not numbered. They took the two sons of Joseph and put them in the place of Joseph and Levi. Levi wasn't numbered because, remember, I think we talked last week or maybe the week before, that when Moses came down off the mountain and they were worshiping the golden calf, Moses broke the tablets, and then he says, who of you are with me? And only the tribe and the people of Levi came over the line. So we're going to see now that God called the Levites to be the priestly tribe, and that's why, and so they're not counted. Now, Numbers now goes through and tells us, okay, this is how the tabernacle is going to be set up. It's going to face east. You'll have these tribes on the east, the west, north, and south. Okay, so there's 3 tribes around each. In between the tribes and the tabernacle itself was a descendant of Aaron, part of the Levites. There were the Merarites, Moses, the Kohathites, and the Gershomites. Okay, they are the names of the kind of the elders of the tribe of Levi, and so they parked between the tabernacle and the tribes. And God said, the Levites will take care of everything doing with the tabernacle. And then in chapter 3, it says, and the Lord spoke to Moses and said, bring the tribe of Levi near and set them before Aaron the priest, that they may serve him. And they shall perform the duties for him and for the whole congregation before the tent of meeting to do the service of the tabernacle. And then again it says in verse 11 of chapter 3, now behold, I have taken the Levites from among the sons of Israel, instead of every firstborn, the first issue of the womb among the sons of Israel. So the Levites shall be mine. For all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified to myself all the firstborn of Israel. From man to beast, they shall be mine. I am the Lord. So the Lord, because he brought the tribes out of Egypt, claimed the firstborn to be his. And it was the firstborn that died if they did not have the blood sprinkled on the door and the lintel. Now, though, he says, okay, I want you to count the Levites. They count the Levites. There's 22,000 Levites. That is 1 month of age and older. And then God says, okay, I want you to count the firstborn 1 month of age and older of the rest of the tribes. And it turns out that there are 22,273 firstborn in the other 12 tribes, okay? So there were more than there were Levites. So God said, okay, for those 273, you will pay a ransom to redeem them, i.e., so I don't take them. So they had to pay 5 shekels per head for those 273 to be redeemed, so that the ones that were to be God's, which were in this time the Levites, they were going to be God's people, the Levites. They were going to be God's priests. So they had to offset however many others above the 22,000 there were. And then again in Numbers 3, the Lord said, take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel and the cattle, and the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. He said, first, listen, I bought the Levite, I bought the firstborn. All the firstborn are mine. However, I'm going to substitute. The priestly tribe, the Levites, will now be mine. And they will serve me. They will render service to the tabernacle. And then we have in Numbers 4, we get the duties of the Levites. We get a test for adultery, how you can, in chapter 5, the Nazirite vow. There was a certain vow that a person can take. He wouldn't cut his hair, he wouldn't eat certain things, and he would be committed to the Lord for a length of time. And then they consecrate the tabernacle. There's given instructions on the lampstand and how to take care of the lampstand, the cleaning of the Levites, the cleansing of the Levites, what they had to do before they came into service, the retirement of the Levites. Then they did a Passover. And Aaron and Miriam complain against God, and Miriam ends up with leprosy. And Moses had to come and say, Lord, please. And so she had to, I think, cleanse herself for 7 days or whatever, and she became clean again. And then Numbers 13, and this is what we want to look at for the rest of the time. Numbers 13, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, send out for yourself men so that they may spy out the land of Canaan, which I am going to give to the sons of Israel. You shall send out a man from each of their fathers' tribes, every one a leader among them. So Moses sent them out from the wilderness of Paran at the command of the Lord, all of them men who were heads of the sons of Israel. So they're at a point of getting ready to go into the promised land. This is 2 years, 2 months, and in some days now, okay? And here it says, God said, send a leader from each of the tribes. So these weren't just ordinary people. They were leaders. They were respected. They would be listened to. Send them in the land to spy it out. It says, and they went and they spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob and Lobo Hamath. Then when they had gone into the Negev, they came to Hebron, where Hiaman, Shushai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, were. The descendants of Anak were giants. Okay? Then they came to the valley of Eshcol, and from there cut down a branch with a single cluster of grapes. And they carried it on a pole between two men. It wasn't something they could stick in a backpack. It had to be carried between two men. That's how big the grapes were, the cluster of grapes they had. And with that, let's take a break for some coffee, and I'll be right back.